we normally say that not all individuals are alike. Every individual is unique, and every individual's preference towards risk can also be different. Here we are going to talk about the preference towards risk. Consumers' decision normally depend on consumers' preference. It consumers' preference will be affected by the expected return on the one hand, and uh, their inborn preference to the risk taking activity on the other hand. So higher the return, people normally choose the game. They want to make their choice uh, in a risky economic activity with higher return. So the lower the return, people tend to avoid the risk in normal case. And but this is not applicable to all individuals, all consumers, all investors alike, because everybody is different in their decision making. Normally we classify the risk preference of the individuals towards risk into three categories. So the three categories are risk averting category, risk loving category or risk seeking category, and third one is risk neutral category or the uh, risk neutrality. So these are the three preferences towards an economic decision making having more than one outcome or risk. So let's go through the risk averting behavior of the consumers, of the individuals in this video. And this is the most common behavior of the individual, of the consumers, and most of the people tend to avoid the risk. They want to make a safer choice. They want to have a safer, they want to play a safer game. And risk averting individuals tend to avoid playing even the game is fair. What does a fair game mean? So fair game is an economic activity. That could be a consumption activity, that could be an economic that could be some activity which will have some transaction that will generate some return for somebody. And this is so fair game is an economic activity having risk but with equal probability for occurring all the possible outcomes. And even though the game is fair, even though the economic activity is fair, the people having the risk averting behavior will tend to avoid playing the game even though it is high, even though it is a fair game, and they will tend to play the game only when the game is highly favorable. So what does a highly or favorable game mean? So favorable game is an economic activity having risk with higher probability for better outcome, or the winning probability is higher than the losing probability. That is a favorable game. But a fair game is an economic activity. Here the probability for winning and losing is same, and in normal condition that could be 50-50 chance for winning and losing. That is a fair game. So why is the risk averting individual behaving like that? So why do they want to avoid the risk? Why they are not ready to take the risk? The answer is diminishing marginal utility of money. So the marginal utility of money could be diminishing for the risk averting individual. A type of consumers, type of individuals are called risk averters, as their marginal utility of money is diminishing. But this is not the case for the risk neutral persons and risk seeking individuals. Let's go through the examples with some numerics and graphics. So this is our example. There are three outcomes available for an individual. So the three outcomes are A, B and C. So these are the three outcomes from an economic activity. That could be an investment activity or consumption activity, and here the B is certain. So the outcome B is certain. Its probability is 100%. That is why it is called a certain outcome. And the probability for A and C are not uh, the outcomes A and C are not certain. It is an uncertain, and there involves some risk, as its probability for occurring the outcome A is 50% or 0.5 probability, and probability for occurring the outcome C is also 0.5, and this is a fair game. And even though there are three outcomes, two options are there before the consumer. Two options are either he goes behind the certain outcome B. There is no risk involved in it, and it is 100% sure that the outcome B will happen if some economic activity is chosen. And if he is ready to take the risk, and there are another option is outcome A or outcome C. And let's look which of the options will be taken by the risk averting or risk avoiding individual or consumer. So let's look at the utility of the outcome A. Its utility is 100, and the utility of the outcome B, it is a certain, remind you that is a certain outcome, its utility is 85, and utility of the uncertain outcome C is 40. So these are the distribution of utility of A, B and C. And let's calculate the expected value of A and C. And there is no need to calculate the expected value of B, because B is a certain outcome. It is 100% sure that that outcome will happen if some particular economic activity is chosen, and if the individual is going behind A or C. So we have to look through, or we have to estimate the expected utility of A and C. And the formula for calculating expected utility is EU is equal to utility of A, that is UA into P. P refers to probability, plus UC, that is utility of the outcome C, and into 1 minus P, that is 1 minus probability. Here the utility of A is 100, as we have seen in the last slide. Utility of A is 100. So 100 into probability, its probability is 0.5. We have already said that this is a fair game, and probability for happening two outcomes is 0.5 each, and 100 into 0.5 plus 40 is the utility of C, that is UC, into 1 minus probability is 0.5, 1 minus 0.5 is 0.5. So 50, 100 into 0.5 is 50, 40 into 0.5 is 20. So 50 plus 20 is 70. So this is the expected utility. This is not the expected income. This is the expected utility. Utility want to be maximized for making consumers choice. And here the expected utility of A and C outcomes, or the uncertain outcomes, is 70. Since the expected outcome of these uncertain outcomes is less than the utility of the certain outcome B, and it is 85. 85 is the utility of the certain outcome B, and 85 is greater than this expected utility. So risk averter will definitely goes behind the certain outcome of B. already he is a risk averting individual, and the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes are well below the certain outcome. So he will surely choose the certain outcome of B. Let's look another example of an unfair game. Previously we have gone through the fair game with equal probability for winning and losing, or equal probability for both outcomes, and here the probability for occurring different outcomes are not same. So this is an unfair game. That could be favorable or that could be unfavorable. Any way, this is not a fair game. And let's look the utility of A is 100 itself, utility of B is 80 itself, and utility of C is 40 itself, and there is no change in utility of three outcomes, A, B and C. And here B is uncertain, as I said already, and utility A and C are the uncertain outcomes with different probabilities for happening, and probability for A is 0.7, so it is highly likely that A could happen, and probability for C is 0.3, and it is less likely the C could happen. And let's calculate the expected utility of A into P, that is the probability. A is utility of A, that is 100 into 0.7, that is 70, plus utility of C into 1 minus P. 1 minus P means 1 minus 0.7, that is 0.3. So 40 into 0.3 is 12. So 70 plus 12 is 82. That means the utility of expected utility of A and C is 82. It is little above the expected utility of the certain outcome of 80, certain outcome of B, and its utility is 80. So here, even though the expected outcome of the uncertain events are greater than, even though the expected utility of the uncertain outcomes is greater than the utility of the expected outcome, there is no surety that risk averting individual will choose the risky option. So let me clarify that with the help of two diagrams. So the risk averting behavior of the individual, of the consumer, can be explained by using the diagrammatic explanation. And here you can see the two axes X and Y, where amount of money is measured along the x-axis or horizontal axis, and marginal utility of money is measured along the y-axis or vertical axis. And the marginal utility is a diminishing situation for the risk averting individual, and that means their utility, addition to the total utility, as the money increases, as the money income increases, is diminishing. That is why the marginal utility of the risk averting individual is declining, and it is a declining curve, as you can see. And here initially the individual has consumed, an individual has 10,000 rupees in his hand initially. So this is the initial income of the individual, and he could then engage in betting. Betting is an economic activity, maybe legal in some countries, maybe illegal in some countries. Anyway, this is an economic activity normally, as it is engaged in some kind of transaction, some kind of financial transaction is involved in it. And if he win the bet, he gains 1,000 rupee. If he lost the bet, he lose 1,000 rupee. That means if he win the game, or if he win the bet, his income will fall to 9,000 rupees from 10,000 rupees. And if he win the game, his income will be increased by 1,000 rupees to 11,000 rupees from 10,000 rupees. So the loss and gain are same. That is, and there is also equal probability for both to happen. That means the game here is fair. The probability for winning and losing is same, and here surely the consumer, the individual, will reject this game. He will not be engaged in this kind of game if he is a risk averting individual. And here it is due to the loss of utility due to fall in income is much greater than that of the gain of utility if he win the game. So loss is greater than loss possibility, loss of utility, possibility for loss of utility is greater than the possibility for the gain of utility. So as you can see, the area ABED, this is the loss area, is greater than BCFE, this is the gain area of change in utility. So that is why the risk averters will not be engaged in an economic activity with risk, even though the game is fair. Let us consider another game that is highly favorable game to the individual, but in that case too, individual is not engaged in the risk making economic activity. And here the initial income of the individual is 10,000 rupees itself, and if he win the game, his income will be increased by 2,000 to 12,000 rupees from 10,000 rupees. And if he lose the game, if he lose the bet, his income will be declined by 1,000 rupees to 9,000 rupees from 10,000 rupees. But the expected utility, expected gain, expected outcome in this case may be greater or in favor of the individual. But in that case too, the risk averting individual is not ready to take the risk, as the loss area is greater than that of the gain area, as his marginal utility of money is diminishing, and he will reject this betting option even though the game is highly favorable to the individual. So this is the type of decision making, as the consumer is a risk averting individual.